Hey guys, can you hear me, guys? Can you hear me, guys? Can you confirm? Am I audible? Hey Abhishek, thanks for confirming. So what's up, guys? Let's wait for a few more folks to join, then we will start. Meanwhile, we can do some chat, right? How are you guys? All good? How are things in your area, wherever you are? Good, Abhishek, I'm also good. So you guys are working or you guys are students? Because this session is going to be based on that. I mean, I will keep it more towards beginner side, or I can keep it more towards let's say my level of experience people, or 5 6 years 7 years experienced people. So we can talk both ways. So which way you want me to keep this session? Yeah. So what we are going to discuss today is how to plan a data science project, basically, right? But project planning can be in different levels, right? So if you are a project manager, or if you are a kind of team member, or if you are a team lead, what kind of what kind of things you should be aware of. So the reason I'm doing this session, guys, because if you are not into industry, right, if you are not into real world data science projects, or how projects are run, right, you will not have understanding of few things, not few things, many things. Okay. So when you go and learn data science somewhere, right, people will tell you, this is the data, this is the problem statement, and then this is the result done, or maximum deployment, right? But that is not how the picture is in the real world. Okay. And the intention here in this particular live session is to make you aware of what are the things that is important in project planning, what are the things that is important for you to know, whether you are a team member or project manager, or any level, right? So this session is going to be very useful for you in that sense. Okay. So Ravi Kiran is saying 4 years experience. That's fine. Whatever I'm going to explain will be very relevant for you. Okay. And we will try to learn from there. So I'm going to share my screen, guys. Let others join, but we will get started with the session. Okay. So let me try sharing my screen, and I will show you what are the things that is really, really important for you. So let me share it here. Okay. Now you guys can see my screen, right? See my whiteboard. Yeah. Just give me a confirmation that you are able to see my whiteboard. Okay. You are able to see, right? Thanks, Sudhanshu. Now, guys, you need to understand few things here. Okay. Um, See, all these is coming from my experience. Okay. So I thought it's really, really important for you to know how to plan a data science project, and most important thing, right? What are the difficulties in planning? This is very, very important, guys. What are the difficulties? Now, things will not be very, very smooth always. I mean, you cannot expect the things to be like you want to be always, right? That you agree with me on that. So what will happen? How you should understand the concept, how you should understand different things, right? So I'm going to talk four things today. One is, how do you do project planning? When I say planning, I'm talking about how do you define your use case, how do you define your solution outcome, how do you define your what are the things you may need, right? I will go into much detail, and then I'm going to talk here about resourcing. Now this is very, very important for somebody who is at my experience level, or who is a kind of 10 years or 8 years or 12 years kind of project manager kind of person, team lead kind of person. So I know many of the people who are into who are watching this uh, are in some other field, some other domain. They are trying to make a move to data science. Maybe they are having a 9-10 years experience, and when you are at this experience level, guys, then you cannot be only a team player, you cannot be only a somebody who does hands on, right? So this area will be very, very important for you. I will discuss in detail. Okay. And then I will talk about execution. So execution is nothing but whatever you learn on various data science channels, various data science in my channel also, right? So this is the data, this is the project, this is the deployment, this is data cleaning, this is feature engineering. So that is your execution. Okay. And then you will I'm going to explain you consumption. Okay. So consumption part means it has to be very, very clear who is going to consume my model, who is going to consume my model, right? So I will tell you why this is important, guys. Your have you done Flask web deployment of your application, or Heroku deployment? So it's very simple kind of deployment, guys, right? Where you build a web page, and for testing purpose you only give some input, some output comes, all those things happen. But what you need to understand is your consumers may be different. Your somebody who is consuming your model output, right? It can be a business end user, or it can be a business owners. So for example, you might be building a solution which will be consumed by a app team in your organization only. So your organization only, there is a marketing app, right? So you want to do something on that app, right? So that will be consumed by those guys only, app managers and those guys. So that is the things we will be discussing in detail. How the consumption will happen, how planning, resourcing, execution will happen. Okay. So very first thing that we need to understand here is, guys, right, what is the important thing from let's say planning point of view, right? So first area is project planning. Okay. Now, what do you think is project? What is the first thing that comes to your mind when I say project planning? Just give me some answers. What is the first thing that comes to your mind? Yeah, you can give me some answers in comments so that the session will be very, very interactive and it will be interesting for you. Okay. So in project planning, what are the things that come to your mind? So let me write few things here. Meanwhile, you can comment as well. First of all, we need to understand what is the business problem. Okay. And it has to be very, very, specific problem. Okay. For example, if a company comes to you, let's say Unfold Data Science example. Okay. So if Unfold Data Science, I come to you and tell you that, you know what, in grow my channel. Okay. So that is one very high level problem. I say you that grow my channel, or help me in channel growth. Okay. But there are different sub levels of it. Okay. Different sub levels. Try to understand this, guys. So business problem has to be defined very clearly. So one will be your high level thing, and then this high level thing will split into various sub levels. So if I tell you, the high level problem statement, or high level thing I'm looking at it, grow my channel. Okay. This can be done in multiple ways, right? Maybe I want to increase my views, maybe I want to increase my subscribers, maybe I want to increase my watch time. Okay. So what is that I'm trying to improve? Now let us take an example of a organization. Okay. Let's say example of Dabur. Okay. Dabur. Now Dabur tells that, improve, help me in growth. That's a very vague high level problem. Okay. Very high level thing. But you want to see how, when Dabur says, help me in growth, then growth or margin or revenue can be increased in many ways. For example, cost cutting. Okay. For example, cost cutting. For example, stock optimization. Okay. Stock optimization. For example, revenue increase. And for example, it can be, let's say, employee salary review, right? All these will contribute to Dabar's annual revenue or annual income. But what is that we are trying to do? What is that we are trying to do? So your problem statement should not be very high level. You should be always asking to the business, what is the specific thing you are looking at? Okay. What is that specific thing you are looking at? Now suppose you boil down to this: cost cutting. Okay. You boil down to cost cutting. In this cost cutting also, there can be many things. Okay. There can be many things. What is that you are trying to do? Are you trying to reduce the ad expense? Yeah. Are you trying to reduce the marketing expense? Are you trying to reduce the cost through employee, salary review, or whatever loosely we mentioned here, that area? Or there can be other ways, right? Maybe are you trying to do the cost cutting using the way you package your products, all those things, right? So the intention here is, I'm trying to tell you, business problem has to be very, very well defined. That is the first point you have to understand. Now second point is, what is the objective that we are trying to achieve? What is the objective? Now remember, guys, if this objective is not very, very clear, right, then first of all, you will not have a path how to go about the solution. And second, when you build everything, right, business may not accept it, end of it. Okay. So what I mean by saying objective, now you say I have to cut the ad expense. Okay. So the objective should be defined in terms of metric, in terms of numbers. For example, one metric can be without revenue hit. Okay. Understand this carefully, guys. Without revenue hit, ad expense cut by 5%. Okay. Now understand this, guys. Without revenue hit, ad expense cut by 5%. This is your one very defined objective that you can try to achieve. That can be your objective of the project. Okay, and if this happens, then you can say that project is successful, or you can say project is not successful. Okay, the other kind of ad objective can be what we are trying to do. We are trying to, on ad expense we are trying to do. Okay, so other things we can do: optimize expense, optimize expense to run same ad at low cost. Okay, same ad at low cost. Now in first point, what we are trying to do, we may be reducing the ad. Okay, if there are 100 ads running, we may be reducing it to 80 ads, and we ensure that revenue is not hit. That is the first thing. Second thing, the same number of ads should run. If 100 ads are running, then 100 ads only will run, but we will reduce the cost by some percent, let's say 10%. Now I'm giving you two examples to make you understand how proper metric. When I say metric, there has to be a number, there has to be a tracker kind of thing. What is that we are trying to achieve? So what we have understood till now, there has to be a proper business problem, and there has to be a proper defined objective what we are trying to achieve. Now if you guys have any questions still here, you can post me. Let me check comment once. Yeah, somebody is spamming, let them spam. Now we will try to see what is, so the third point, right? The third point is that only. I'll be waiting for you guys comment, and I will take that later. But meanwhile, let me go to the third point as well. So next question that you have to ask to the business owners, or to whomever you are discussing, is ask about previous work. Okay, now what is the meaning of this, guys? Suppose you are a data science company, or data science team, or data science guys, right? Just to keep it simple. So if you go to Dabur, right, you may ask to Dabur, hey, you are talking about one problem. Have you done internally any use case or any analysis, or has your analysis team or somebody has done something on this? That you can ask about previous work. The advantage is you will get a very good idea of what is happening, or a high level idea of what were their findings. If they have built some model, then what they knew about that model, all those things, right? So you have to ask if there is any previous work done, and if there are any findings from the previous works. Okay, if there are any findings. So this is what you have to ask. This is very important in planning phase itself. Okay, validate your hypothesis. Very important, guys. Validate your hypothesis. Okay, now what is the meaning of validating your hypothesis? So here what you can do is you can just some high level hypothesis. I'm not talking about detailed hypothesis. So this is very much applicable to industries where you are not very much aware of how the industry works. For example, if I tell you a very niche industry, for example, Tata Sky. Okay, so in Tata Sky, if I tell you to do some analysis, right, maybe your mind might be thinking few things, which is from common sense point of view, it is good, but again you need to validate with them. For example, here in Dabur case, you can say ad, when they tell you to optimize their ad, right, you can say that I guess physical ads might not be making much sense because of the lockdown and all these things. That is one hypothesis that you can just check with them. Okay, other hypothesis can be the traditional way of doing ads, right? The traditional way, like TV ads and these things, right? There can be a huge expense going on in those areas, and that might not make much sense. I mean, in revenue terms, right? That might not be adding much. So These are your high level hypotheses that you can validate with your stakeholder or business owners or to whoever you are talking. Okay, all these are project planning phase, guys. We have not gone into resourcing yet. Okay, this is the first part we are discussing. Some high level hypothesis you have to validate. Okay, now if you have any questions, let me check once, because I'm into this whiteboard, right? I need to check here. Okay, no questions, fine. Now you have to define, the next thing is define, at least define consumption part. Now what is the meaning of defining consumption, right? Defining consumption means, as I told you, right, nowadays for learning purpose you build a logistic regression model, and you kind of have it on your Heroku or have it on your Flask or let's say cloud, and you are kind of testing it with some data, right? But tomorrow your model can be consumed in multiple ways, guys. Okay, in multiple ways. So in how many ways your model can be consumed? Your model can be consumed by business owners. Okay, business owners. Your model can be consumed by APIs. Okay, your model can be consumed by some front-end technologies, for example, a web page or web apps. So your model can be consumed in front end. Your model can be consumed by other app that we can say as part of API only. Okay, and there are few other things that you need to check here. Okay, so let me write here. So will it be a real-time consumption or batch consumption or ad hoc consumption? Real-time, batch, or ad hoc? What is the meaning of these three, guys? Some of you who are in industry know already, but some of you follows these are real new terms. I will tell you. Real time means you go to Facebook, you consume some of their services on real time. That is your real time. Batch means Dabur company, what it does is all its 1 week of data, it will refresh in its data warehouse after every week. That is one kind of batch running, not real time, batch. And ad hoc means some very senior president level person of Dabur comes, and at ad hoc level, just at a randomly they want to see some reports, they want to see how the model, what the model is saying. It can be in 7 days, 1 month, 1 week, 6 months, ad hoc. There is no time schedule for that. Okay, so this, what is the mode of consumption? Is it real time, is it batch, or is it ad hoc? Who are the consumers? Business owners or APIs or front end, or are we hosting in on-prem, are we hosting on cloud, right? All these you have to define in which part? In your project planning part. Otherwise you will be in deep trouble, guys. You will not be able to understand what I am telling now, but believe me, you will be in deep trouble if you don't put it very very clearly and keep it documented. Okay, otherwise it will come and hit you in the end. So all this comes from experience, guys. Very very clear definition of consumption, very very clear definition of what is the work, what is the metric, what we are trying to do, what we are trying to achieve. Very very clear cut definition and documentation. Okay, so how is the session up to here, guys? Give me some feedback. Are you guys liking it? Shall I go in the same way? Is it going good? Yeah, I will wait for your comments. And also, guys, there are 15-16 people watching and there are no likes. Please press likes so that more people can join this session. Okay, so now where we are at defining the consumption. So extremely important. Okay, now let us try to understand. In planning phase only I'm here. Okay, check data availability, high level. Okay, check data availability, just shortcut I'm writing, high level. Okay, what is the meaning of this? I will tell you with a real world example. Okay, suppose you are a data science team and you are supposed to build a data science solution which will consume the data from a mobile app. Okay, so this is a mobile app. So this is your machine learning. Now machine learning will use the data from a mobile app, okay? But this app is not ready. What is there? This app is not ready, okay? When this app will be ready? This app will be ready after 2 months, for example, after 2 months. Now, once this app is ready, immediately you will not have that much of data on which you can train a machine learning model. Immediately you don't have that much of data. For that much data to be available, it may take few months, like 3 months or 6 months, like that. If somebody tells you that, hey, you know what, app launch date is on, let's say, 10th of Feb, 10th of Feb app is launching, so you can very well train your model on 11th of Feb, right? This is the place where you have to come and say, no boss, this is not possible. No, this cannot be done. Why this cannot be done? Because it cannot happen, right? So today only app will not be able to throw that much of data which I can use on the next day only. I need some good amount of data to do some machine learning, right? That is one thing that you have to keep in mind. So what I'm talking here, check data availability high level. Another example, suppose I am Flipkart, okay, and I come to you and tell you, hey, there is Holi sale coming, okay? So Holi, which is in March, okay? Big billion is coming on Holi, fine? Big billion is coming on Holi. Now, can you give me the estimated customer traffic on my next big billion? Okay, estimated customer traffic on next big billion. Okay, now you ask to Flipkart, okay, I can try to do that, but give me the data of previous big billion days. Obviously you will need that, right? Whenever the previous big billion happened, or in last Holy time, or last festival time, or Republic Day time, or Independence Day time, Ugadi time, whenever the last festival was there or something, when big billion was there, right? Give me the data. And Flipkart tells you, no, no, I can't share the data. Will you be able to do anything here? Flipkart tells you, my data is very, very sensitive, I can't share it. This is another scenario where sometimes people may expect you to work on the use cases and they might not be very comfortable in sharing the data you need. Just an example. So somebody is an investment banker. They want you to build a portfolio managing kind of forecasting something. They don't want to share their numbers with you. How much is their income? How much is their expense? Where they are putting money? Will you be able to do? Suppose I ask you, give me. I will tell you, which shares not to invest in, and you don't want me to give you a zero the kite or demat account data. Is that possible? Not possible. So always you have to check the data availability at high level, not if not at very granular level, high level. I gave you some example what I meant by that. Okay, now all these things once done, right, if data is available, if your business problem is defined properly, let's see what all we are discussing in planning. So we are discussing this part, guys. For some of you who have joined now, what we are trying to do is we are trying to understand how to plan a data science project, and this session is very, very useful for somebody who is at a project manager level, or somebody who is a little senior, or somebody who is kind of not seen real world projects, for all of you. Okay, so in planning phase, then we will go to resourcing, then we will go to execution and consumption. So in planning phase, what you have to keep in mind, what is the high level business objective? Very, very simple. Okay, that has to be very, very clear. Then comes, what is that we are trying to solve, what is that we are trying to achieve, what is the objective? Business problem objective in terms of numbers. So here I am writing 5%, that is a number. Okay, then ask about previous work. Was there any previous work done by any team, any vendor, any other company, any other guy? If it's there, it may help you. Then validate your hypothesis. You ask what is your high level understanding. If that is correct, then you define consumption, whether it will be real time, batch, ad hoc, whether it will be in prem, or whether it will be cloud deployment. Then you ask who will consume, business owners, front end, API, some other app, right? Check data availability. I gave you a couple of examples where it is not possible to do. Okay. Now I will come here and tell you how you should take care of resourcing. Now this area is very important for somebody who is a project manager kind of person, or everybody will become, right? One today or tomorrow you will become project manager, right? So or you will be managing a team, or you will be asked to give the deadlines, right? So when you give deadlines, right, very extremely important things, guys, I'm going to talk here. All these things you will be able to relate when you go to industry. Okay. So in resourcing, there are few things. One is people, then comes infra, okay, then comes license, okay, and in infra you can say infra or platform, okay, and then comes acquisition time, okay, then comes what are the IDs you will need, what are the IDs needed, and lead time. Now when you come here and estimate people, right, how do you estimate people? For example, if there is a project that needs to be done in this much of time, how many people will be needed? Okay. So generally what you will see is analytics projects are not very long projects. It will be kind of short duration project. The reason being, people want to see the result fast, and there will be pressure from the leadership to get it done fast. So in people part, right, try to have a team of you know at least 60% people who are hands-on guys, and 30% people who are experienced data scientists, and 10% people who can speak with stakeholders or manage the things, or some high level activities, right? So these guys will be hands-on guys who are good in Python, who are good in programming, who can do things on the ground. These guys will add on to experience. So they have worked on the past projects. From there they will bring experience. They can work in two projects also simultaneously, and these guys can do the high level activities. For example, tracking the things at high level, talking to stakeholders, these things. Okay. People planning is not a very difficult part. People planning you can do. Okay. What you have to understand here is how to plan the infra and how to plan the platform. Now, what is the meaning of this? So I tell you, you have to process 100 GB of data. Okay. How much data? 100 GB. And you have to do it in your local computer. So I am a NRI, and I am running some business of selling, let's say, paper in USA. Okay. What I am doing, I am selling paper. I have a very big paper selling network in USA, and I have lot of data. I want you to help me with a machine learning use case, and help with a model. I have 100 GB of data, and I tell you, hey, why can't you use your own computer and do it? You will be having some good RAM and some good hard drive, all those things, right? So do you think you can train a very big machine learning model on your local computer with this much of data? No. What you will say to that paper owner or entrepreneur? You will say that, boss, give me an infra and platform that I cannot purchase. Okay. So if you give me, then I can do this project for you. Now he or she may ask you, what is the infra or platform you will need? Okay. And here comes infra, platform, and license, all these things, right? Now, based on your understanding, you will say that, give me AWS account, okay, AWS account with these specification for this much of time. Okay, give me all this, and then I will be able to do this. Now there can be multiple things here. First thing is cost. There will be cost involved, obviously, if somebody is purchasing a license for you, right? So that cost has to go in. Okay, and that cost has to be very clearly defined, who is going to bear that cost. So don't take these things lightly, guys, because cost will be very heavy. Okay. Now suppose cost is very heavy, and that person who is trying to give you a freelance project, that person is not in a position to spend that much. He did not thought through it. Okay. So what he will say is, okay, this is January. What we will do is we will do this project in March because I want to see my annual financial statements, and then in the March I will reconsider if I can take this forward. So what will happen? This project will pause for 2 months. Right? You are understanding what I'm saying? And this is not something which I'm telling hypothetically, guys. This is something which I'm telling from what is happening every day, right? So your project will get paused for 2 months, and that should not come on you. Okay. So this is very, very important. These things you should do. Acquisition time, that is what I spoke now. How much you want to how much what is that you are trying to acquire, and how much time it will take. Now AWS license can come in few days, but a membership or subscription, whatever you call it, but there can be platforms where it will take a lot of time. Now if you go in organizations, maybe access to their systems is going to take a lot of time. Here I am mentioning some ID needed and lead time. So if you work in some big organizations, some finance organizations, some banks, right, then data is highly secured, guys. So very, very secure data. So what will happen is, for you to get that access of the platform or all those things is going to take a lot of time. So these times, right, needs to be calculated and needs to be put properly into the picture. Okay. If you don't do these things in resourcing part, right, and if you don't flag, most important thing here is, whenever you are doing these things, right, you have to flag that there is a problem, and that you have to flag to the everybody in the team, and to what is happening, you have to flag it very, very clearly. For example, you flag the risk. If I don't get an AWS license, I may not be able to do it. If I don't get a this much of time is delayed because I'm not getting the license. This much of time is delayed because I'm not getting people. This much of time is delayed because there is no Python. This much of time is delayed because there is no platform. All these things in resourcing and planning part you have to do. Okay. So this was the part 2. That is, what are the things, if from project manager point of view, from somebody who is managing a team point of view, these are the things that is very, very important for you. Check the risk, see the risk, and flag it. Okay. You might not be able to relate if you are not into industry, but if you are anywhere in the industry, these things make a lot of sense, guys. Okay. So now what I'm going to do here is, I'm going to write another thing here, and that is your execution part. Now in execution, right, most of the things is something that you hear from here and there, but again, important things. For example, how do you get the data? Now all of you know that getting the data from pd.read csv is up to the learning only. So if you are learning data science, you do like this, read csv. Okay. But this is not applicable to industry. You will not get data in read csv. Okay. I mean, on some cases you can get, but do you think the industry data will fit in a csv file and you will be using that file? No. So it will always be a database connection. It can be on-prem, it can be a cloud, it can be third-party vendor, it can be some streaming services data is coming. So how do you get the data? That you have to define, you have to work on it. Get the data in your platform, do the basic operation, for example, cleaning, feature engineering, all these things we discuss daily here and there. So no need to go into much detail of what all discussing here, right? And you kind of train your model. That is your expertise, right? Training your model, building model, and then deployment part, all these things. One important thing I want to here mention is validate findings. Okay. This is very important, guys. Validate findings means, suppose you are analyzing I gave the Dabur example, right? So in Dabur example, you are analyzing, you are doing some EDA, and you found some patterns. Okay. You found that every time there is a ad spend happening in any one few Indian cities, we will take just at random, right? So Hyderabad or Bangalore or let's say Kochi. few cities we will take. So every time we put ad in Bangalore during the month of summer, it does not bring any more revenue. Every time we put ad in Kochi in the month of winter, it brings, revenues go up. Some high level thing I'm trying to tell you. So if you find these kind of analysis, right, reports, right, then maybe you can validate your findings with stakeholders. So you can say that, hey, I was analyzing the data and I got these findings. So what do you say? Is it a decent finding, or is it, does it make sense for business? Simple. And then there may be something about Bangalore, there may be something about Kochi, which you don't know, and those guys being from the industry know. Okay, so that way you can validate your finding, and you can make your you can ensure that you're on the right track. Okay, and what you have to do is, you have to show, retrain the model. If the findings are not correct, then go back and retrain. Otherwise, what you have to do is, you have to finalize the model, finalize model, okay, and deploy. Okay, deploy means that is your execution part only. First time deployment I am talking about here. Okay, finalizing your model meaning, you will take the model, you will show the findings again to the stakeholders. This is what my model is doing. This is what the finding of EDA. This is, I have tested on this data, and this is how it is coming out. Now if you put this in production, this is what I'm expecting, this is what will happen. All those things you will discuss where? Finalize model, in this area with stakeholders. There may be few other things that may be expected, but you will go back to this step again. Which step? This step, where it was defined what is the objective. Okay, if the objective is met on the test data, or on the historical data, or on the A/B testing you do, or you validate your model with the new incoming data for a few months. So before deployment, if you want to do, right, if these objectives are matching with the A/B testing and different testing techniques, then you are very well ready to take this and deploy it. Okay, validate your findings, deploy it. Fine. So most of these things are technical in nature, so you know these things, but only thing to take away from here is, you take it and you deploy it and you use it. Okay, you learn from it. Now what I'm going to tell you is, any questions guys up to here? Any questions guys? You can post the questions. I hope I'm making sense. You guys are able to relate to what I'm saying. Yeah. Okay, you can post your question later also, not a problem. Yeah, you can post your question later also. So I will just pause for like 30 seconds to 1 minute. See, this is not about Akshay is asking, can you please explain in this project how data is flowing right from customer to client to programmer, and which necessary tools are involved in these stages? I'm not talking about any particular project here, okay, but I will still give you one example. However, I'm saying only one data source, right? I'm talking about not some particular project, but I'm talking about everything as a whole in industry, what is happening. Okay, so to answer your question, I will take one example basically. So one example is, let us say this is a mobile app. Okay, mobile app. Any of your app you can take. Ola, let's take example. Okay, Ola. So Ola will be generating lot of data, right? Ola will be generating lot of data on daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, about its rides, about its bookings, many things, right? So we take this data, okay, all these data will be getting pushed to some database, right? all the data will be getting, this database is basically called transaction DB. Transaction DB means where all the data data is fetched for day-to-day work. For example, if I am Aman, then how many bookings I have done? 10 bookings. So all those bookings should be there showing in my app, right? That is coming from some kind of transaction DB. This again flows to some kind of data lake. Okay. So this data lake can be a big data Hadoop data lake. It can be a cloud. People can put data in. It can be on-prem. It can be different kinds of databases. You can call it data warehouse as well. Now, suppose you want to do some analysis on this data, right? So what you will do, you will connect and fetch data. Now there are different ways in which you fetch data from cloud and on-prem databases or other things, right? So this is your entire environment. Okay, environment means where you will be working, right? This is your database. This is your database, and this is your Python. Okay, so Python will connect to the database and fetch data, and on this Python you will work. Okay, so this is how it will be high level from, if I take one particular example. Yeah, so it will depend on what is your transaction DB, what is your data lake, and where are we trying to fetch the data. Now here Python is inside this bigger platform only. It cannot be always possible. Python can be outside of the platform. It can be on the platform, right? For example, if I take AWS example, right? Amazon Web Services. Here your data is also sitting in S3 Lake, and your SageMaker is also on the more or less same platform, right? So a different way of connecting, right? Here, if your Python is outside, a different way of connecting. But in none of the cases, that is not basically a good practice, where you will take data in CSV and read it, and kind of there is always a risk of data may not be in its proper form, right? So if you read it and dump it somewhere, try to read it from there, few things might go here and there. People do that also, but few things might go here and there. Okay, so let me read out comment one more time. Okay, love from Bangladesh. Thanks, Shakut. Yeah, Akshay, I think I gave you high level answer. If you're looking for anything else, ping me. A specific question if you have, right? Ping me, I will tell you. Okay. If you have any use case in mind that you want me to talk about, you can ping me that use case itself. Okay. Now, uh, in terms of understanding of your fourth part, that is nothing but consumption part, right? Consumption. So what we have done in the beginning only, we have defined how the model will be consumed, right? How the model will be consumed. So in consumption, there can be various parts and subparts. So it can be where model will be consumed, how model will be consumed, and who will consume the model. So in where, it can be a, let me take a different color, cloud, on-prem, where the model will be consumed, right? Or let's say desktop, anything can be possible. Okay, and how the model will be consumed is, will it be a batch consumption, will it be a real-time consumption, will it be a ad hoc consumption? Yeah, who will consume the model? It can be business owners, it can be end customers, right? It can be an API can consume your model. Many possibilities here, guys. Don't take these like these are the only ways. Many things can happen here. Okay, so all these things have been defined in advance, so we are well to go with the consumption part, like how the model will be consumed by, how after deployment, all these things should be in sync. Okay, and then you have to do some kind of testings. So before deployment only, in consumption, I should have covered that in before deployment actually. So some kind of testings you have to do, right? Now there are different, you have to do or somebody else does, I don't care, but these need to happen, right? So system testing, integration testing. Now if you don't know these terms, you can read about this. Okay, unit testing. So different types of testing you can do so that your model does not break other things and it is working as expected. Okay, and then what you can do is you can just come here and define your retraining strategy. How do you retrain model? Okay, retraining strategy that can involve your MLOps, CI/CD pipeline, everything, right? MLOps, CI/CD, all these things will come. So in your retraining, many things will come. One is your frequency of retraining. When do you want to retrain? Is it a periodic retraining or is it ad hoc retraining? How the retraining will happen? Then comes your retraining strategy. Yeah. Then comes your retraining planning. Planning means when you are retraining, it should not happen that your system goes out, nobody is able to use, right? All these things need to be documented properly and put it so that tomorrow when you are retraining or when you are redoing the things, all these things will come and become very useful. And anybody new also who comes and looks at your work, it will be easy for them to do. Okay, and then another thing, one more thing that I want to discuss here is post production support, right? So post production support. Now in the beginning resourcing phase, let's say we started with 10 people. Now post production support, we may not need these 10 people, right? So what will happen is we can reduce it to just 2 people who knows about the project, who knows how the project has been built, and who is there to support any production activities if something goes here and there. Okay, if something breaks, they know what the code is, they know how the retraining happened, they know what the objective was, what the business problem was, and then they can support. Okay, so this is another thing that you should consider in your uh, final phase or consumption phase, you can say, post production support. So this is enough for you to digest for today. I will not give you more. There could be more information in all these areas. I will not give you more information. Rather, it's better I will reiterate and take your questions. Okay. So first of all, you need to understand 4 phases: planning and resourcing and execution and consumption. In planning, what you have to do, you have to define your business objective, business problem, then objective, then validate your high level hypothesis, validate if data is there or not there. Define in, if you include planning and resourcing, right, then you have to define your infra issues, if there is platform issues, ID issues, access issues, data issues, all these things need to be taken care, and then planning needs to be put on paper. Okay, and then comes the execution where basic machine learning things will happen, and then comes the consumption where you have to ensure ML work, ML ops things, CI/CD pipeline, your retraining strategy, your planning, your post production activities, all these things are in sync. Okay, and I told you, you will face challenges in many, you can face challenges in many areas. If you don't define your objective clearly, you can be in trouble. If you don't flag your challenges, if you don't validate your hypothesis also, you can be in trouble. If you don't flag any challenges, for example data challenges, for example infra related challenges, if you don't say it loudly, then you may be in trouble. And you have to understand these things so that you don't make these mistakes. Okay, and keep validating your model with stakeholders, your EDA also, your model also with stakeholders, so that you ensure that you are going in right direction. And also in the end you have to validate, so that whatever you are deploying is correct only. Okay, and this is an example of how data flows. And consumption part, how to consume, who will consume, testing part, retraining strategy, post production support. Okay, so I hope I give you knowledge for understanding for this whole thing, guys. This video will be anywhere there in my channel. Okay, and you can watch it anytime you want, so that's not a problem. So let me stop here sharing one time, and I will take your questions if any. Yeah. So Ajay is saying kindly create a playlist for end-to-end project, like from fetching data from DB till deployment. Yes, sure, that will come. Can you suggest me? So Sakot Hussain is saying one of my course teacher asked me for research or a project. I'm trying to learn ML. That's why I want to make a project. Can you please suggest me project title? I cannot suggest you project title right away because I don't know what is the area you're looking at. Sandhya is saying, can you give me one case, use case on sales from fetching data to deployment? Giving me means I don't know. Giving idea or you want code and everything? Saroj is saying in general, what is the typical time understanding the business problem to professionalize in B model? It depends. It depends the complexity. It depends on what is that you are trying to do and achieve. Okay. But what you should focus on is something known as MVP. MVP is kind of a prototype or a most viable product, or uh, uh, you can say a junior project. Okay. So that is what you should focus on, and then you can take it from there. So see, it all depends on how much time you are getting, right, from stakeholders, from people. It's not one thing only. So Sandhya is looking at one use case from sales. Which industry? If you tell me, I can make it more specific, but in general, uh, sales use case can be many use cases. For example, what sales I should tell you? Car sales in India. Okay. So if you take the car selling industry from last 10 years, so you will not be hearing something like cars 24, or old, they call it pre-owned cars, right? Pre-owned car showroom. So now pre-owned car showroom has come, which is impacting the new car sales, right? So how you should, in sales you can do forecasting, you can do some kind of time series forecasting is one thing. Then you can do a attribute analysis, which features are impacting the sales. Many things you can do. Yeah. Can you please create a playlist or video on converting production ready code? Yes, I saw your comment also in one of my video. This is a decent task, this is a good ask only. So what Saranya is saying is, all of us are writing code in Jupyter Notebook for learning purpose. Tomorrow, if I have to take it to production, then what are the things I need to keep in mind, right? So it will be very different. First of all, it will not be .ipynb, it will be .py. That is number one. So you can convert very easily Jupyter Notebook to Python, convert to Python script. Yeah, and uh, so many things will be parameterized. What I mean by parameterized is, it will not be hard coded. For example, in your local Jupyter notebook, you might be reading read.csv some file path, right? So that file path should not be, when it goes to production, it generally is not hard coded. That is called hard coding. Okay. So you will pass that as a parameter. I have a separate video on how to pass parameters to Python code. The purpose of that video is same. So Saranya, I tell you one thing, go and watch my Unix deployment playlist. Okay, model deployment in Unix. That will give you a very good idea of if there is a simple Python code, then how do we deploy it? Okay, what are the things should be taken care? Akshay is saying one, often in interviews a question is asked like, what was the source of your data? What is exactly the interviewer expecting in this question? So interview is first of all trying to understand if you have already worked in a project, or if you are just faking your experience. That is number one. Number two is, if you already worked in a project, right, then you will have the answer of this question. If it's a Kaggle data, you can say it was a Kaggle data. If it's a industry data, or in your project you are taking from some other server somewhere, you can tell that as well. So the purpose of interviewer here is to understand where from you are getting the data. He or she wants to ensure that you are not faking your project. Yeah. So guys, last 5 minutes, anything you can ask. You can ask something, guys. Arvind is asking how 100 GB data is processed. 100 GB is less. There can be more. Okay. 500 GB can be also there. So all this will be processed using a very powerful processing engine and very powerful platforms, right? So suppose you have a Hadoop cluster which is having, 1,000 node cluster. So there are 1,000 machines working together on your data. So your 100 GB data is nothing. It can be processed easily. Okay. And if you are on, this is in-prem cloud. If you are on in-prem Hadoop, if you are on cloud, then you can take, I don't know, you can process 10 times more than this data, because you can keep expanding your resources, right? It's all about resources. Okay, guys, so I hope this session was useful. So give me in comment if you liked this session. Okay. And you can post any questions in comment. If it's there, I will definitely respond to you. Do we have any model interpretation technique for time series use case? Is it applicable? SAP for classification. SAP means SHAP. What is SHAP? I'm not aware of this term, or maybe it is slipping out of my mind now. If you give me the full form, I can be able to tell. Asutosh is saying for production code, shall we write in always object-oriented mode? Yes, if you write in object-oriented mode, your code will be faster and efficient. But if you do not write in that also, it will do the job. It's not like it will not do the job. It will do the job if you like a line by line script also. So better way to write the way in classes objects, object-oriented classing, that will be better. Usable modules will be there, but it's not that if you write in terms of script, it will not go. It can do the job. No, I'm not aware of this, Charanya. Maybe I have not seen it before, or maybe it is I saw it, but I'm forgetting it now. I will see it and tell you, okay, in the comment. Okay, guys, fine. I will see you all, guys. Have a very nice weekend ahead. Okay, and thanks for joining. Thanks for learning. Let's keep learning together. Take care, guys. Thanks, Aranya. Thanks everyone for joining. Take care. Bye.